let's get started with the introduction. So, Saras, how about you?
Yeah, hi everyone. So currently I am employed with Erwin by Quest. It was acquired by Quest in 31st December 2020, and now we are part of Quest. I am continuing with documentation of Erwin DI Suite and Erwin Data Modeler for the last 3 years, and I specialized in data governance. I did a couple of learning path certification from Colibra, which is a market leader in data governance and metadata management. So today I'm thankful to all of you for giving me this opportunity to share my experience while gaining domain knowledge.
Thank you, Saras.
Yeah. So, you know, when you have a domain knowledge, you can write with clarity, you can understand how product works, and in different releases new features are added, so you can grasp them very quickly, write better lead in introduction while asking user to perform any task. Okay, so it is a specialized knowledge. It is specialized knowledge about a field on which many software products are made. Software engineering, technical writing, these are general skills in software engineering. You can use software development skill to develop a product in any of the domains. Okay, so product knowledge helps you to answer how questions. How means how to perform this task, how to install the product, what are software specifications, and these things. Okay, whereas domain knowledge gives you answer to why question. For example, there is a task in your software, how to create data steward and how to achieve data stewardship goals. So this will be covered under product knowledge, how. But why are you creating a data steward at the first place? Will give you, domain knowledge will give you the answer to this question. While documenting getting started guides, it is important to take out the gist of the purpose. What is the gist of the product? What to leave and what to include in getting started, because you cannot include everything in getting started guides. It's a short synapse, you know. So when you have domain knowledge, you can write better getting started guides. Not only that, in software documentation, we often require to draw an architecture diagram. And if you are writing a documentation from the scratch, I mean, it is a greenfield project, then domain knowledge is must. Then only you can create a good architecture diagram, you can create good structure, you can understand what is important and what is less important and what is completely less significant. So that's why I think gaining domain knowledge is important, and I'm very thankful to Puneet for coming up with this type of panel discussion. Often domain knowledge is excluded, and there is um, a notion in technical documentation community that domain knowledge is not that important. It is important to stick to MSTP or Chicago style of writing or whatever style guide they are following. And grammar, English grammar, and structure, these are important, and domain knowledge is neglected. You can do better justice to your job when you have the answer to why questions, when you have a good domain knowledge.
That's very true, Saras, and I think that's where the emphasis should be for all of us, basically. And technically, people who don't understand the importance, I'm sure after attending today's session, they will have better idea. Thank you, Saras. And so let's see what Tharoor has to say. Tharoor, please start with your introduction a bit and then go ahead.
Okay. This is my 32nd year in running in the software industry per se, out of which almost about 21 years have gone exclusively for writing, starting. And I do have a bit of education and training experience also where, you had your good old curriculum. And so that particular knowledge is what stood as a good forte towards transitioning into technical writing. One of the first domains that I probably entered was the good old forte called BFS. Now, most of us in this particular industry would have probably had some kind of early beginnings from there. Somewhere in your line of writing, but BFS would have played a major role in kind of shaping your writing. Fine, yeah, Puneet, you
Full
are
form,
there.
full
You are
form
there.
this?
Banking and financial services has done a major thrust for all of us. I'm saying in somewhere along our writings, either you have written for a small product per se, which is something to do with stock exchange or about financial domain. But I'm saying that's been the longest standing domain today in the industry. This is what I felt. Now, over the years, a lot of other things have got added on. Insurance has become, and it has become BFSI. Then insurance branched off on its own, right? But overall, if you see, if you ask anybody today, how long do you intend to stay in the technical writing industry? And if the answer is no, every 3 years I'm looking for a new field, then I will say domain knowledge may not be your forte to build upon. But if you're somebody who feels that you have a long career to make and you have a good understanding of three things, ask anybody that if they want to survive in this industry, what do they need? I will say they need access to three types of domain. They need good organizational knowledge, they need good product knowledge, and they also need good domain knowledge to back them up. Because unless until you know which domain and which organization you are working for, your writing about the product is not going to help. With this background, it is very necessary that it's a what you say open line topic. What we have started off today is an open line topic. We will have what you call arguments for the topic and arguments against the topic. But out of experience, I have learned that if you are able to put your best foot forward, there is no stopping us from growing, understanding something called customer empathy for the customer. And as Saras rightly put it, writing good introduction captions. That small paragraph will be a paragraph that is a seller by itself. When they open the document, your intro paragraph becomes a leading statement to read further. Okay, let me at least browse the next 3 pages to see what this person has written. Right now, that itself should be what you call like a good foundation that you lay for something that you want the customer to read. Your knowledge about the tool, your knowledge about the organization will help you say that this is where my long standing is coming. But once you cross the threshold limit of 3 years and you think that this is the organization that you're going to work with, in a very slow and steady manner, domain knowledge has to be built up. There is no two ways about it, or there is no escape from it, is what I would say.
Wonderful.
I'm also thankful that this year, in January 2021 edition of the Technical Writers Drive, Ravi had come up with an article on domain knowledge. And it is also equally interesting to note that at the end of the year in December again, we are reinforcing or laying the concrete back and saying that, look, these are the pillars on which we should grow further. So thank you for this opportunity. And the moment you said panel discussion on domain knowledge, I thought this is an ideal forum to get started and be available there, at least to know that I'm somebody who has kind of stood first in a group of 80 people who did a BFS domain knowledge training. And at the end of the whole exercise, the trainer himself was quite pleased with the way you were able to contribute to the subject. And everybody there was stunned because you are sitting along with a group of MBAs, product people, but still you were able to do better.
Wow.
See, that is a kind of grounding that you are able to do or gain when you kind of, want to bring out the best in you. So that training expertise, keep your knowledge open. That's what I will say. Dig for acronyms. Every acronym is different. You will come across something called R&D, but then sometimes R&D also means requirements and development. We all know R&D means research and design.
We will come to the tips and tricks separately, otherwise audience will get confused. So there I want, the exact pointers from you where they can make a note and all, that what exactly they will do. So we'll come to that. So thank you. I mean, that sounds amazing. Yeah. And the way like Tharoor and Saras both explain, I'm sure it's clear for all of you that number one, what is domain knowledge? Number two, we always talk about product knowledge that all of you know. But how is domain knowledge a superior form of product knowledge? That doesn't mean you don't need product knowledge. But what is the difference between both? And you need to carry both, and how both help. So I'm sure both Tharoor and Saras both have clarified that very well. And irrespective of whatever domain, it is applicable to all, especially as a technical writer. Secondly, one misconception which I often hear in the dialogue, so with different kind of groups where tech writers are there. So I would like to clarify, and we have a very good mix. Tharoor is like 22 years of experience, and Saras also has so much of experience. So in your career, I'm not sure if you have heard about this, so I'm going to put this line. Often tech writers tell me, domain knowledge is for senior technical writers. For junior position, we don't need much. And my point has always been, okay, as long as you are starting your career, it's a fair point. But the moment, even if you are 1 year experienced or a bit more than that, then I think domain knowledge is not just limited to seniors. What's your take on it, Saras?
Puneet, to be very frank, whenever you say it's okay that junior technical writer does not require to have domain knowledge, it's just an excuse, right? So whoever he or she is trying to run away from his responsibility of giving a great documentation. See, the purpose of documentation is the main purpose. I mean, there are many purposes. The main purpose is to stop and to mitigate or reduce support tickets. User should be able to read your documentation and come to the conclusion, what shall he do? Okay, rather than generating a support ticket. And in case suppose he generates a support ticket, support team should be able to guide him to the correct documentation and tell him you can refer this and get on. So that should be the purpose. And when you are telling I'm junior, I don't need domain knowledge, no, this is an excuse. You go ahead, because this I experienced in my life. I also everybody started as a entry-level technical writer. And you are given a job by your senior. You do this portion of the documentation. And if that portion of the documentation does not reflect domain knowledge, you're not able to document from a perspective that a newcomer in a domain, suppose the end user is also a newcomer, he also lacks domain knowledge, your documentation will fail for him. He will immediately keep generating support tickets and your purpose is not solved.
Okay. Very true. Thank you so much, Saras. So that's a very valid point. And Tharoor, I mean, when you say 21 years of experience, you will probably associate with this question more if I add one more line. Long ago, which is not so long, but probably 5 to 8 years before, technical writers were all about just knowledge of English. Forget about domain knowledge and other things. Knowledge of English and tools, FrameMaker, RoboHelp, fair enough, get in. Now, coming from that background to today's background, what do you have to add?
Puneet, it's a question of for somebody with pure hardcore training and education knowledge. When I moved into software in 2000, fine. 10 years of experience was considered zero experience for software. So where does that leave you? You have to start afresh, right? You have to start afresh. And to start afresh is not very easy because, like Saras rightly said, at some point of time, you are expected to drive the discussion by asking the right set of questions, which will start coming after you being at least 6 to 8 months. So even before a year is over, there comes a thing, how long have you been with this team? Don't you know about what we are dealing with? That question will come back to you as a roundabout. Now, when that question comes to you, no, I'm a fresher who joined 6 months ago, does not hold good. By which time you are supposed to know what all at least your team does. And when you go for a discussion, you don't expect, now, can you spare some time and tell me what the product does? They will say, take a walk or take a jump. No. You are expected to read through, come up with the right questions to understand and at least make that discussion very easy. When you are going and sitting down, you are expected to ask the right kind of questions to them, right? So asking the right kind of questions to an SME comes only when you do your groundwork. And in that, if you say, I have knowledge of FrameMaker and very good knowledge of English, it just does not, sell.
Very well said, sir. This is exactly right. You have to put right questions. See, the SME will also develop a respect for you when you come up with the right question. Your questions should make SMEs raise his eyebrows. He should say, oh my God, how can he know? I'm here for last 5 years and he's asking this question. Wow. You will see most of the time technical writers are guided to a QA person. Okay, that go and take KT from there. This is the general, procedure followed in most of the organizations. You go, you ask questions, he will tell, click this. But when you try to ask why questions, why I'm clicking, why I'm creating at the first time, why I'm scanning metadata, why I'm creating data stewards, all these are related to data governance. Yeah, but why? So that shows that yes, the documentation will be a better product when you include all this. And as Gopalkrishna sir said, yes, you will be able to put right questions. And that generates a respect for technical writers. And when SMEs have respect, they will respond, they will help you in a better way. And in this process, everything will be improved.
Wonderful. Completely agree. And that's what probably the changing times are telling us, that at least just why I gave the example of 8 years before or whatever before, we have certainly evolved, and probably we are forced to jump into an area where probably many of us are uncomfortable.
Puneet, fast forward your question to 8 years to today. There is a lot of data available and companies are no longer working from scratch. They are working backwards with whatever data that they already have and trying to look at new products or new, what you call new domains that they can evolve out of. I'm today working for an organization which is working on data to come up with something called real world evidence to see what you can launch in the what you call cancer drug market. See from where we are going from data. We are coming up with products from data available on the field. I'm saying things are getting, reverse engineering and innovation is the key. When I fast forward your question to 8 years today. So I just cannot hold my horses and say that, look, 8 years back, this was the trend. Now you are asking me to go forward. You have to be with the times.
Exactly. And I'm happy that many people now have adapted pretty well to it. So changing trends and of course changing ways of people, acting. At this time, I will probably call it a half time and not take a break, but I will ask basically the audience. So for the thoughts shared by Saras and Tharoor, do you have any pointers? Like Shrutika has one in the chat box. She says, to add to what Saras and Gopal said, one of the technical writing profiles that depend heavily on domain knowledge is developer documentation writers. Imagine not knowing about the domain and then working for API documentation. So true. Thank you, Shrutika. Anybody else has questions right now or any thoughts to share so far with on topics what we have discussed? You can go ahead and ask. Okay, looks like no questions. So far we are pretty clear, and that's great. Now, one thing from like one of the slides that I shared when I was introducing, like different domains, okay, the names of domain, even from the, and the names of domains, I have the names, I had around 50 list in my list of domains where people have shared their domains. So in general, if we zero in just for the domain perspective, first of all, of course, there is this differentiation, hardware versus software. Then there are multiple other domains we come into. So as a technical writer, many a times, whether the writer is from hardware field or software field, people get opportunities to work in multiple domains. There are some instances where one person has got a very long hand at one particular domain, but many times over a period of time we do go through multiple domains in our career. So in your view, what do you suggest? Like, what should be the learning curve? Of course, changing of domains, probably at times it's not in our hand. We might have to switch due to different reasons, personal and other reasons. So, how to stick around with the domain knowledge? And shall every time they consider importance of domain knowledge? Let's start with Tharoor.
First and foremost, always do a lot of reading of what exists in the system. This could be hardbound as well as soft copies. When you're dealing with soft copies, please be very sure, look for critical links that point to other websites and additional reading references. Go a lot with your acronyms to know about the acronyms of the product and of the domain that you're dealing with. Initially, I said R&D could probably mean research and development, but it also means requirements and development phase in certain cases. What is what you have to apply yourself properly? That's one. Second thing, these links and pointers in the soft copies, please understand, open up a treasure of knowledge. Do not neglect them. They are such a big source or a fountain of wealth. That's probably one of the reasons today that is a part of a give back. I have started a hashtag tech writing dinosaur and giving you articles which I have probably dealt with, the links of which do not exist, but I'm bringing up the synopsis by giving the credits to the source. Trust me, those links don't exist because of the time frame in which I viewed them. I viewed them way back between 2000 and 2006. And if I go and check those links have either merged or become a part of an archive. But I said, because a hard copy is available as part of my repository, I'm still able to give you a synopsis of this by taking a screenshot and accrediting the source. So that way you must remember, give credits to the source always. What you dig out and try to share with the rest of the tribe is not your own article. Always credit the source. That's one fundamental thing that you have to do. Sometime back when we started, Indian Express started an repository called IT Computers. I'm not sure how many of you read that supplement. It comes out every Thursday. One such particular series was about technical writing and how the industry grew in India for a change, and started with probably interviewing our one of the first people who worked as a translator cum writer, Guru Dutt Kamath in Bombay. No, somewhere along the line, it made sense to kind of take permission and say that, look, can we take permission from this editor to copy this and make it a part of the learning group? Once we are at that timing was 1 minute earlier than that person saying that, no, this article is a copyright violation. You've taken it from me. But then when because I was 1 minute earlier to ask the permission, global permission was given to say that whenever we publish, you can carry it in your mailing list. I'm saying, be honest about where you're taking the details from and always credit the author. The fourth and most important point that I will say is give respect to your SME. Whatever said and done, however it is, even if they have something very harsh to say, please keep your ears as your entry and exit path. Do not put them down at any point of time, because ultimately you have to sit with them for a meeting. In the meanwhile, keep your knowledge bank open. Your ears and your eyes should be like a dish antenna rotating always, grasping all that should come your way. This is exactly how things have to move forward. At the end of the time, when you are in your notice period, use your notice period also effectively. Try to at least put down in your own words what is it that you learned about in that 1.5 years to 2 years or even X number of years. Keep it as your own repository, or if you want, give to your boss that particular soft copy of whatever you think is vital to that particular knowledge. Just give it to him as a parting present and walk away. Respect builds, because later on, if there is instant recall value, or they think that you can have a role to play, they will definitely come back to you, because that stays in. These are a few pointers that are helping.
Awesome pointers. Thank you so much. And on a lighter note, when you talked about SMEs, respect SMEs. So I will just like to add, respect SMEs like you respect your parents. Many of you might have heard about those jokes in case you haven't been subjected to such parental guidance. Parent, always on your head, by all means, by being, at times being harsh to you. But yeah, respect your parents. In the end, when you grow old, then you realize how much you have learned from them. So probably the same with SMEs. Even if you have some challenge, respect them. Thanks for a very valuable point. Saras, your take.
Yeah. So LinkedIn describes this era as great resignation era.
Oh.
People are switching jobs. Okay. The moment they complete 2-3 years, there are so many jobs available in IT. Let it be a software developer, let it be a technical writer. They want to switch to the different domain. It's okay for them. Now you have to set your own goals. What you want. If you will be switching from one domain to another, you will forget the previous domain after some time. And you won't be able to build upon that information that you gained in the previous domain. So yes, it depends on the individual goals. So my take is, if you want both, so choose a better company, carry on with your domain, and spend a quality time in your domain and try to be an expert in that. At least my goal is this. So I will suggest, if you carry on technical writing in the same domain, and as you said, it's just tip of ice what you learned in 3 years. And when domain knowledge comes, as Gopalkrishna sir said, even after 10 decade long experience, you will say, oh my God, I don't know anything still. Because the domain itself will be changing very rapidly. It's a industry 4.0. Artificial intelligence is still in its nascent stage. And we can already see so many improvement in software where different types of crawlers and artificial intelligence is being used to automate softwares. So this is my take, Puneet.
Wonderful. Yeah, very true. And I come, apart from all those wonderful points that both of you mentioned, like this point, industry, even domain is evolving. And to anybody who doesn't get this, that domain is evolving, what does it mean? If it's a domain, created like Gopal mentioned, Tharoor mentioned BFS, it's existing. So from 2000 or previous to 2000 till 2021, this BFS is not the same. It has evolved. So that evolution is always there. And so accordingly, like Saras mentioned, we should be on our toe all the time, ready to grasp new things, to learn further. And Soma Shekhar, thank you. So that's a very wonderful point in chat. Even for transition from one domain to another, it requires some knowledge. so that we can give confidence to interviewer for giving a chance, certainly. And this is here based on my personal knowledge, this knowledge not coming from my interviews, but coming from being the organizer generally of TechWriter's Tribe. Many people keep interacting with me that how to prepare for interviews and all, what all to do. Even managers and even people who go ahead and participate in the interviews. The focus has changed of the pattern which Saras and Tharoor has been telling. The focus has changed now. Even in interviews, the focus is less on tools. The focus is more on your conceptual knowledge. Like Saras said, writing one paragraph, or the concept knowledge you get, the introduction part, like Tharoor mentioned. So those exhibit your conceptual knowledge. And even in interviews, those are asked. And this is where, like so much Shekhar has mentioned there in chat, even in interviews, you should be aware a bit about domain. So probably you may hear a very silly question that may appear like, have you visited our website? And I'm not surprised at those questions asked by the interviewers, but I am surprised by the questions some people pose to me. Why do they ask this silly question? I have not joined their company yet, and why should I visit their website? Isn't it waste of time? There lies in the problem, friends. There lies in the problem. Okay, so on that note, going forward, uh, let me get a bit more about Saras and Tharoor both. So you have mentioned about one particular domain. So how about you sharing a bit of insight about your domain? So Saras, you can go ahead, and then Tharoor can tell about his domain.
Okay, so data governance, is a part of data management. It's a subset of data management. In data governance, you create data steward and you set data stewardship goals. And there are many different aspects of data governance. One of them is data quality. So right now, entire world, data is being generated in huge quantity. It's like terabytes of data now. And if organization want to use this data and make monetization benefits, they must implement data governance in their organization. To implement data governance, they can use different software products like Erwin DI Suite is there, in which I work. So you can scan metadata in that, and after scanning metadata, you can keep it in different environments, production, test, or something. And then you can create business glossary. Business glossary, I'll give you a simple example because research says that you understand better with examples. So for example, client, to a product team, it's client, but for a sales team, it's customer, right? So you want your entire global team on the same page. So for that, you need business glossary. The example that I gave was a very simple one. Everybody can understand. Imagine if it is a pharmaceutical company. There will be so many terminologies. You need to have business glossary. And you need to assign someone who can, be owner of that data. Tomorrow organization will say, oh, who created this? Okay, this is the person who is data steward and he is governing this. When you say he is governing this, here comes the role of data governance. Okay, so as I told you, data governance is the subset of data management. There are many other things involved in data management, starting from data mining, where you extract data in raw form, then you work on it, nourish it, streamline it, and make it presentable. Then using some BI tool, you can create these science behind it. I mean, what steps your organization should take. But for data to be credible, it is important to implement data governance, and that is what Erwin DI Suite does. So this is very short description. Okay, as I told you, even if you spend 10 years in this domain, you will still be saying, oh, I don't know anything. So there are many aspects of it, but yes. So how I learned it, that I will tell you later, but so far it is this much. Okay.
Awesome. And yes, this is short and sweet. And trust me, sirs, although I know about data management, but from your short summary, even I had few pointers to learn. So thank you so much. That's what the goal is, that people here should understand what this data governance is. Whether you are working in that right now or not, but it's always good to understand that. And very, very nicely explained. Thanks, sirs. Tharoor.
For me, at the moment, I'm a novice to hospital management system, and this I'm hearing the word human data science for the first time, right? But what I have understood over a period of time is that earlier on, when you look at hospital management system, they will probably want what you call a patient monitoring module. They will want a pharmacy module. They would then want probably a doctor's overall hospital administration module, and work with these three fundamental modules comfortably. And the good old days were where the doctor system will accept all the data that will be in place where the server is kept, and the rest will be what you call transactional nodes. Now, gone are those days when transactional nodes don't exist. Today, everything is desktop based. So you need to be very focused on what is required for whom and who is my end user audience, right? What a pharmacist does is not what a doctor does. The doctor can only prescribe, but the pharmacist is the one who has to match and make sure that the drugs that he is dispensing are actually kept stock of with. And if one item is less, then the inventory has to go up by one more. So this relationship of each being connected to one another is so paramount that you cannot neglect one or the other. They have to work as one cohesive unit where ultimately, if I come in and talk to you at the reception in the hospital, till I am an inpatient, or whether I get admitted, or whether I go through surgery, or whether I finish my work and go back, everything else should be what you call a seamless procedure, which if you look at it beyond the shores of India, everything goes only via an insurance. It doesn't happen that I have cash and I'm able to pay the money. No, it doesn't work that way outside of India. Here we have health insurance, but let's look at the rest of the world. The rest of the world only believes that if your insurance papers are in order, you can even get admitted, right? So at each and every stage, there are what you call information hubs that are getting created. Each information hub is getting tapped into to understand and see how this data can be used to come up with a new product altogether. And that's exactly how this industry is evolving. That being the case, the name itself is changing from hospital and pharmacy, pharma to let's say generics to therapeutics. The entire thing is getting combined as one, and it is called human data sciences, which means data science is nothing but numbers and analytics, and how that can be fed back into the system to make human life better. Just like today you are evolving, right? You have AI and machine language and NLP entering in a big way to see how the software can evolve itself to understand and make it think like the way you are thinking. I will say good luck for that to those who are putting their activity there. But still, I believe that people are needed in the forefront. And as a technical writer, where would I add value? I would like to think what Saras said. I may be sitting with the QA team, but please don't go with junk data which says name of the patient is ABC. Hospital name is XYZ. No, look for actual pieces of information which make meaningful data, and that is where, as a technical writer, I can add value to my product. Look for meaningful pieces of data. Typically, I have come across a lot of instances. Exactly. I will have a company name which is in Bangalore. I will have an address which based out of Chennai, but the PIN code will belong to US. I mean, come on, let's be honest with ourselves. And as a technical writer, I'm supposed to map a screenshot which checks this data. How can zip code ever be 5 numbers? When the product itself talks about zip code, I only have a pin code. So where is the zip code being 10 numbers or 6 numbers? Zip code is not 6 numbers or 10 numbers as far the US system goes. So at least try to be realistic there. And that's where, as a technical writer, I can add values what I feel. Because I also need to look at my role, right? Even though I say domain is paramount, I need to know where I can chip in and bring value there. So don't accept junk data for the sake of viewing things. If you are asked to read an screen along with whatever is written, let that screen make sense. Let it not be junk.
Very good. Yes. Very good point, sir.
Thank you so much. That's so good to know. Okay, so here, before I get back to Saras and Tharoor for a few more questions about tips and tricks and all, and how they, gained control over their domain, I have one generic question for the audience here. I'm sure out of the group that we have here attending the session, many of you might be domain expert in whatever, not expert, but at least good knowledge. And some of you might be still trying to save. So my assumption is that either you have gained some kind of domain knowledge or else you are trying for it. So my question to all of you is, what are the challenges you faced while trying to gain domain knowledge, considering that you are a technical writer and you want to gain the domain knowledge? So please share the problems. Yes, Joy.
Hi. So I'm a fresher, so I've just been working for 2 weeks now, and the domain I'm working in is e-invoicing. So I have no and absolute knowledge about it because I was working as a designer, interior designer first. So so basically, while I'm in my training period, I'm required to go through a lot of data in order to understand the product and the domain as well, which is quite new to me. So my challenge is that there's so much data that I find it impossible. There's so much to read. So I would like to know if there is one system that I can follow or some tips where I can choose the data and read that, because I am given, say, tasks for the day that you read about this. So there's so much to read that I keep clicking on links and going ahead. So that's how to kind of grasp in little time.
So you have basically, you are actually drowned in a lot of data now. You need to pick.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
thanks. That's one kind of challenge, certainly. And we will come back to the answer. We will ask this. We will let Tharoor and Saras answer this later. Right now, we will just gather the challenges. Okay?
Yes. Thanks.
Thanks, Jay, for sharing. Anyone else would like to share their challenge? Yeah, Nirvan, go ahead.
Hey, hi all. Good morning. So I joined a company. So where this is I'm working in a domain where cloud-based migrations and all these stuffs are like my domain. So, but when I joined, I was quite new to this thing. But initially, when I have a domain, previously I used to work for aerospace domain, and now when I joined this domain, so initially what challenge I faced, so when they are hiring a experienced technical writer, in spite of that, I'm having that particular domain knowledge or not. So the expectation is like I should be knowing the domain. So to fulfilling that expectation is very tough, because for them it's like, yeah, this guy is having an experience of 5 years or 6 years, but so in that thing, like, yeah, I have invested my time to know that domain, and be a quick learner and implementing those in my work. So that was the thing. So that was the even like a problem, and what I did. So I just thought I will share that.
Wonderful. So the problem here, if I want to summarize in one line, is that since you are a since you are an experienced, so the perception is that you should know the domain, right?
Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you for sharing it with us. Prashant.
Hey, hi everyone. My question is like, being in a technology services company, see where we support different domains, right? We as a technical publication team, as a horizontal services, horizontal BU in my company, we used to support different domain clients. So there usually see rather than I don't want to change the company, but still okay, so I'm forced to work in different domains. See there we might need immediate switch, see from aerospace to heavy engineering to industrial consumer products, and there to healthcare. See in that what is your key so I'm looking out key points or the best practices to have a quick domain knowledge. See on what points I need to so concentrate to understand the domain.
Okay, wonderful. So we will come back to the question. More challenges. So I got your challenge. I'll take this up as a question later. Okay, Prashant?
Thank you.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. Did I see some message somewhere? Just one sec. Uh, okay, this is Anju. Challenges. Onboarding is not systematic in most companies. They just dump the whole thing on us and expect us to ramp up quickly. So more priority is given to learning the tool and company specific style. Also in a fast paced agile working environment, we are expected to just know about particular feature and quickly document them so that the job is done on time. So our focus is always on the next Jira ticket to close and not on building domain knowledge. So well said, Anju. Thank you for sharing. Okay, so now in the interest of time, thank you to all who came forward to share. Well, let me get back to our panelists. So the next question to both of you is, so we figured out that there are some challenges, what participants have shared. So I hope when you started learning about domain, you might also have faced some challenges. So how about you sharing the challenge perspective as well as the tips and tricks which you used to overcome all those and learn about domain? Saras, you want to go ahead?
Okay.
Can I start first? If you don't mind.
Okay.
Yes, sir. You can take.
Yeah. First of all, paramount to anything is point number one, gain access to the SharePoint location of the project and of the organization which you're working for. Typically, if there is a domain basket like the question that was mentioned earlier, I have heavy engineering, aerospace, at least gain access at the organization SharePoint level. They may ask you, why do you need access? You are working, but tell them that you are part of the horizontal. You definitely need to know what is what to be prepared, at least to understand what the organization is dealing with. Extending that same thread to Anju's question, I do agree that you will be working on your Jira ticket, Anju, but definitely there is something called me time available where between one Jira ticket and the other Jira ticket, use that little time to kind of start building on whatever you're doing. Life is not completely revolved around your Jira tickets. There will definitely be some mean time or lean time involved. Utilize that lean time. Typically the month of December, if you look at it, everybody plans their annual vacation. You plan it as your annual learning exercise. That's about it. Right between December 15th and January 15th, I can assure you the entire software industry does get into what you call hibernation. Use that hibernation to your advantage. If there are less Jira tickets, try to introduce learning modules there. Skill or unskill certain aspects. The same thread, if I want to extend to that other question, which says, do I have to take up with certifications or what I have? Is that the way forward? Yes, certification will be the way forward if the organization is completely clued towards certification. Otherwise, look at relevant certifications that will make you competent. Relevant certifications. I'm not saying just because a technical guy does OCP, you also go and jump the bandwagon and do OCP. No, that may not be relevant. But see what you can do in that to see if there is an intern in learning and department and says, for my assumption purposes, you are dealing with the networking domain. If there is an L0 certification internal to the organization on networking, try to complete that L0 certification on networking. No, at least your fundamentals to networking are in place, right? This is very much an internal to organization certificate, but still somewhere down the line, you can also say that the end of month 1, I also managed to put in and understand the fundamentals of networking as part of my learning area. So which gives a feeling that you are somebody who's not, just that horse with blinkers on. You are somebody who's open to learning too. And that itself shows your involvement to the next kind of task that they may probably thrust your way. Extend the other question to the person, the same thought process, the question that was posed to me, asking me, what will I do? I'm an experienced guy and the expectation is high. That is not your really your mistake. It's a technological change that happened alongside, where from one particular aspect of way of dealing with the systems, everybody came in with cloud storage, and it's an entire architecture itself issue. How can you slowly, seamlessly move towards there? Yes, the expectation of the industry is that when I come, I need to be what you call having worked in cloud. If you are not there, show inclination. Start with fundamentals of AWS, then expand your knowledge a little more. Maybe if not now, over a period of time, like I say, set internal targets for yourself if you're able to get in and start accumulating that cloud-based knowledge. These are all one question, but if I expand it to all the 5 questions or challenge areas that were posed to me, I will definitely say nothing stopping me from learning. If I make an attempt to start learning, nobody can stop me.
So if I summarize, Tharoor, what you said in one line, force yourself to learn. Okay.
Absolutely. No two ways about it.
Force whatever be there the challenges. Yes, the challenges may come at times due to situations which are not caused by you, but then the best way is to go ahead and try to learn, make a plan for it. Thanks, Tharoor. Saras.
Okay, so I can relate to this, that organization dump you with huge number of information, PowerPoint presentation, and you find it difficult to absorb, grasp things. But remember, you have to use all your resources. Use SMEs, use the resources that organization has, and then not only that, apply your brain to connect the dots. Whenever you are exploring any feature of the software product, keep asking this why question again and again unless you are satisfied. The quest for knowledge should be there. Otherwise, technical writing should not be your job. Because most of the companies these days call you knowledge-based manager. Why are they calling you knowledge-based managers? They're calling you because you have to be, after knowledge all the time. You have to work more than office hours and get it done. But believe me, once initial 6 months are done, when you get some hold of the beast, when you get some hold of the domain knowledge and the product, your life will be easier after that. But connecting the dots will make your job easier. I faced similar condition when I joined Elwin. I was able to access the PowerPoint presentation, SharePoint, whatever information they had. Okay, but the domain knowledge was missing in these PPTs. And even the language that was used in PPT were like 2-3 sentences, 2-3 lines for one sentence, which was not easy to understand, learn. And I had no prior exposure to data governance or any data thing, but I had learned something related with data analysis in Python. And both are related. Actually, for data analysis, you need inputs which are given by data governance products. So something was related, but you have to connect dots. And in doing that searching internet, because these are niche products, Google will not be able to help you much. I then thought, okay, let's see their competitors. Who are the competitors in this field? I jumped to their website, tried to gain knowledge from there. Then I found some open sources where data community had some certification related to data governance, and then I started learning them. And I then found more from Allison courses. They have free access, free certification, and very good quality content. It can help many people, and that's the way I build upon. And I did Colibra certification in data governance and in data stewardship. Certification do help you, and they give you confidence. And when you do certification, please prepare notes in your notebook. That is very important. That will help you in future. And you don't need to stop there. You need to further explore what else is connected with this field, and you will find ocean, and it will be, and you will always be chasing after knowledge, and that is never ending.
Very true. And that's where overall when we see different kind of means and mechanisms. So if we talk about challenges, so yes, we identified that, okay, these are the challenges to learn, but how to overcome those challenges? Some of you have already asked, which Tharoor and Saras already answered, I believe so. So if I need to just make it a bit of point wise, and then probably anybody can go ahead and add. So first point, certainly, there is no other way but to force yourself to learn. That's number one point. Now, the second point from first point is, how do I learn? Okay, I'm keen on learning, but how do I learn? Like the question from Joey, that okay, she is keen on learning, she is fresh to the field, she is keen on learning, but then she has so much data. I will not use the word dumped over her, but available. But then what should be the beginning? Is there a strategy to it? Any thoughts, Tharoor, Saras, anyone?
See, you need to understand that data in the form of question and answer. You need to break it. Ask question, what this information answers, and you will land to a better conclusion.
Okay, so these are the ways, and of course, every individual has, own way of planning. So collect the data, go ahead and learn, and then if you want to feel more confident, go ahead for some certifications also, relevant certifications. These days, like it's mentioned right now during the talk also, there are free certifications available and there are paid certifications available. Depending on what your interest is, based on that, you can go ahead. Apart from what has been discussed so far about the importance of domain knowledge, one point I will like to add here is, why is domain knowledge important? As long as you are in technical writing field, yes, domain knowledge is important. But many people who are already senior technical writers with good number of years of experience, they often ask, what's next for me? If I want to move out of technical writing, they feel that, okay, they have achieved quite a lot and they want to move out of it. What's next for me? Of course, there are a lot of things which they can switch to. Different fields, product management, business analyst, so many other things are there. I mean, there is a huge list. But the base of all that is domain knowledge. If you have good domain knowledge, you will be considered a good fit. So that is where, in my view, domain knowledge holds a very good importance. Apart from your current work, tomorrow if you want to switch, and like I think Shrutika mentioned about any specific documentation like API documentation and all, you certainly need a lot of those. Okay, so with this, let's open for questions in case somebody has any more questions. So we are open for questions. Any other questions people have?
If I may, to help Joey's question, Joey, I will first gain access to the application. I agree with you that you have available information to say and go through. But along with the application, if you are able to map the data and try to understand where does that particular e-invoicing fit? What is the overall flow? That will save you a lot of time and understanding, because whatever you are seeing for the day or have as a activity at the end of the week to submit or give back as reverse knowledge transfer or your demonstration of what you learned. Let us say your timeline is Friday afternoon, right? Between Monday and Friday, my suggestion is keep the application and then look at the data, try to map where the data given to you matters. That way you will find that whatever you're dealing with is something within the scope of that application itself and not outside the scope. But if you just sit with the plain hardbound or whatever is given to you and try to break your head over where this fits in, you may hit a lot of roadblocks. To avoid those roadblocks, try to see where you can gain access to the application and say, where does this particular piece of e-invoicing fit in? Which module is it related to? If this is working in the billing module, this billing module, where else it is data, where is it taking the input from and where is it giving the data output to? So as you know, in the process of software, everything has got an input process, output process. Try to understand that input process output. From somewhere data has to enter. From somewhere it will be in one location, it will be processed. Somewhere else that output will be given in some new format. If you understand that flow properly, and also to that, like it was mentioned early in the session, you will be stuck with a QA module. For that, you understand what is the entry point, what is the transition point, and what is the exit point. If you are able to map these two along with your data, life will become more easy than what you currently are facing.
Great. Thank you, Tharoor. And I hope, Joy, that helps you make a headway further.
Yes. Yes. Thanks so much.
Great. Anybody else has questions?
The other biggest danger that I faced is that when in doubt, always ask. Don't be bothered about who it is in the team. It can be the project manager also. He will come up. One instance I want to quote here. You were stuck in a team discussion trying to understand the product for the first time. At the end of the whole discussion, I did not grasp what he said. So I said, I'll come back to you again. Can you explain to me? What do you think I was doing for the last 45 minutes? I was explaining, I took trouble to explain. I said, technically, it did make a lot of sense to the developers around you. But for somebody who has to write on that product, I need a little more information. I need some more information to your time. So that's what I'm saying. Assume is a dangerous word. Don't make an ass of you and me there. When in doubt, open your mouth and ask, put your foot down and say that I did not understand. You have to take time to explain it to me again. Because you want it to be written in simple words. How can I write technical stuff there, which says input will come from this area? That is not what the introduction is supposed to carry. The introduction is supposed to carry something about the product or what it does. Then when he explained better, I was able to articulate on top of that, and it was probably turned out to be one of those best written documents. Because A and B fell in place. From there onwards, whenever I asked something, that project manager always gave time. Because he felt that it was important to explain to this person in a different manner. Like as rightly said, they may call it client, but sales understands it as a customer. When these two are any different, how can I take a technical inference and say database opens up, Oracle SQL will pass this parameter, it will be worked on by Python? I cannot write that in the introduction, right? It doesn't make head or tail to me.
Very true. That's a very good insight, actually.
And also to add on this, when you are asking question, remember this line. There are never silly questions, only silly people who doesn't ask them. Okay, so keep asking questions from SMEs.
Wonderful. Yes, Anirban, go ahead.
Hey, hi again. So I have another question. Actually, basically, I have two questions. So one is like when I'm doing a SME interview, suppose with some other team currently I'm working. So when I'm pitching in, I'm the host of the meeting. So they have also an expectation that I have some knowledge. So, but yeah, when entering, I'm honestly speaking that, yeah, I am a technical writer, so I don't have much knowledge kind of thing. So how to handle those situations in a smoother way without saying negatively, but but without telling lie also. So this is one first question. And another question is, like suppose I'm interviewing for one of my requirement. So, how to, like, what are the best questions to ask to check their domain knowledge? Uh, yeah, this is the two.
Okay.
Hope I have conveyed what I want to ask.
So, Saras or Tharoor, you got the question?
Yeah, sir. Shall I take? Okay, you take. Okay, no.
Good, Saras. Good.
Okay. So your first question, I mean, whether I mean, is the situation where SME does not know the answer to your question. Okay. So you can tell him like what I prefer. You can tell him that, okay, sir, is there any other way we can get this information? Is there any resource on internet where I can read and get this information? You can follow up with this type of question. Or else you can say, is there any other SME who can help me with this? And most probably the answers I get is, okay, these are the resources. If you can read, you can get the answer, and or else you can contact this person. Okay, and this is the way you can conclude your interview questions. Okay, and
Okay.
this is, I think this helps, right? What do you think?
Yeah, and this obviously helped to ask
Yes.
some alternate way.
Yes, you can ask that,
Thank
and
you.
in that way you can conclude. But always, the expression on your face should be good. You should always be smiling. That makes better impact. Okay, smiling
Yes,
on
yes.
the smile on your face should be there, and you should be, give him your body language should also be good. If you are on a physical, if you are doing this questionnaire on a physical mode, okay.
Mm-hmm.
In
Yeah.
online mode,
So,
it becomes simple. We
yeah,
generally do not
exactly.
share videos, right? So it becomes easier.
Yeah. Yeah, Saras, yeah, that's perfect what you have answered. Yeah, but my actual question was, suppose, for example, I'm in a meeting, so where I'm looking for some information, some one of the SMEs. So I have my questionnaires. So there I have written some technical questions. So when I'm asking them, so they're giving an explanation to me, but I'm not that much knowledgeable to understand the logic and all the things. But they are assuming that I'm a knowledgeable person. So this is the scenario actually. So how we can handle these things?
Yes. So in this case, what you have to do, you have to be very honest. There is no other way. You cannot skip. You cannot pretend that, oh, I understood, and then you go away from the meeting. No, you have to be honest. You have to admit I couldn't understand, and then what is going on your head during that time, you should explain. I understand this in this way, or is it right? So you can conclude this like that, and if they come to know that his understanding is at beginner level, they will definitely come up with a better explanation.
Mhm. Yeah, that sounds good. Thanks, yours.
Note down your pointers, Anirban. Note down the discussion pointers. Reinforce by asking, is this the right understanding? Have I understood correctly? Definitely your
Yeah.
answer will be a giveaway as to how much you know. At that point of time, ask for references that you can build upon to go back and come up with the right set of things. And when you do that, make sure that you are the one getting back to them with the right set of questions the second time around, to make sure that that meeting gets concluded in the shortest point of time, because that is a specific meeting open exclusively to you to answer the questions that you did not get right the first time. Because your understanding lacks something. So you are asking for reinforcement. And when you take the reinforcement from them, always make sure that there is a follow-up. So that is exactly why you have this model called the ARF model. Ask, do not assume. Reinforce, renew, and then follow. Once you follow the ARF module very solidly with an SME or a domain person, trust me, the respect grows immensely.
Yeah. That's I totally agree, Tharoor. Thank you.
Okay, great.
Hi,
Thank you so
hi,
much.
this is Pallavi.
Oh, Pallavi. Yes. Go
Yeah.
ahead.
Sorry, Puneet. So I also want to add to this this question because this is what I have also faced a lot of time and still face whenever you join a new company, right? They have their short forms also, and if you don't say upfront that hey, I don't understand this short form, so they keep on using that. So I always use this funny line, probably that, and I just say probably this question might sound very silly, or probably this is such a dumb question, but can you explain me what you said? So when I joined the software industry as technical writer, a simplest thing such as a host or a domain or a instance or an environment, I didn't have a clue to what they were saying. So I just said, probably this may sound dumb, but what is the environment here? And then it would automatically come from them as, no, it's okay. You can ask the silliest of the questions. So you can go ahead. You have all the doors open for all the silliest of the questions you can ask. Okay. So just my 2 cents on that. Thank you so much.
Very valuable sense, and that is what, as a technical writer, or probably in all other fields, wherever we don't understand, we should be doing that. Thank you, Pallavi.
Puneet, Shrutika here. I just want to add on to what Pallavi said. I hope it's okay.
Yeah. Go ahead.
See, during this whole discussion, we heard about being prepared, ask the right questions, go prepared with specific pointers. That is really great. But sometimes, like Pallavi said, uh, you have to dumb down. Even if you don't know, to get the best possible explanations and answers from your SMEs, you need to dumb down yourself a little bit. So what happens in such cases is, I experienced is, people go out of their way to make you feel comfortable with that domain or the answer, and they try to explain it just as they would explain to a fresher. That helps a lot.
Sure.
That's all I wanted to add. Like Pallavi said, if you start, don't view it as um, with a notion like this, that okay, how will they feel? They'll find me very silly or dumb. That's not the point. At the end of the day, our job is to get the best documentation out. That should be what matters.
Yeah, certainly. Actually, don't go with a 50-50 approach. Just simply go with hands up. I don't know anything. Please guide me. Simple. That's all. Okay. Thank you, Shrutika, for your input and everybody. So I think we are approaching the end of the session. So just to summarize, what we discussed about what is domain knowledge, what is its link to product knowledge, how both are important but separate, and still we need both, and many more to it. How in multiple domains technical writers work, and still they need domain knowledge, why, what, the challenges, and the tips and tricks which our experts have shared. So I hope those things are a bit clear to you, all of you, and that's very good. And leaving to Tharoor and Saras for the closing note, they can conclude. Before that, I will just like to, what I learned from this session is like product knowledge and domain knowledge are like chicken and egg. So it's on us to decide how do we go about it. And most of those things Saras and Tharoor have already explained. So, okay, so Saras and Tharoor, your concluding lines, and then we conclude. Tharoor, go ahead.
Go with an open mind. Nothing is silly. There are no silly questions. That's my concluding.
Thank you.
And like Sutika and Pallavi rightly said, sometimes even the most, sometimes playing down your levels of knowledge also helps them to give you a all the information that you're looking for. So I definitely agree with what Shrutika said. Act dumb where necessary. It helps to get open the right doors.
So true. Thank you. Saras.
So my one-liner would be, have a great quest of knowledge, don't shy away from learning, and keep working hard.
Wonderful. Thank you. And that point reminds me of just one very silly question, which I am in the habit of asking the teams all the time. And most of the time, my experience has been with software domain. So any software application which a company prepares is generally supposed to work on the three important OS: Mac, Windows, and Linux, right? So whenever somebody explains to me about anything, of course we know it will work on Windows, of course we know it. I have this very stupid habit of asking this irritating question: does this work on all the three? Does this work on other OS also? At one organization it happened. I said, Puneet, what is this question? Of course it works everywhere. I said, but in your reference document, it's written only Mac and Windows. If it works on Linux or as well, or any other OS you have, why isn't it written? And trust me, the person told me, even the person was stumped that, okay, actually it is a very stupid question. They went ahead and then they later realized it doesn't work on Linux. That opened a complete new case study for them. In the next release, they had to support it. So yes, our questions are also not as stupid as we think. Go ahead, feel free, explore the world. With that, we conclude today. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining. Thank you, Saras and Tharoor, for your time on a Sunday. And we'll see each other soon. And those of you who are not joining us next week, Happy New Year to you, all of you in advance. Thank you. Take care.
Thank you, and thanks to everyone who has taken time off today. Your 1.5 hours. I trust it was useful. Thanks a lot.
Yes. Thank you, Puneet, and thank you, everyone. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Saras,
Tharoor, and
and
thank
thank
you,
you,
Saras. It
Tharoor.
was a very insightful session. Thank you so much.
Hey, thank you all.
Thanks a lot.